Hi folks, Dr. Bob here, back in Barrett Paleopark for episode 4. We're going to get a peek at our first babies in the park and build a new habitat for Leaellynasaura, but along the way we're going to run into a medical emergency. So let's start by checking out those babies. They're 3 Psittacosaurus males and cute little things, but not good for the balancing of our social group. So something will have to be done with that down the road. Uh, so backing out of the habitat, we'll do a check on our park. Our money is looking good, and checking to see how our guests are feeling about things. Uh, Things are looking good there as well. So you will notice as we move to doing some of the research we need, because we're way short on animals and animal points. We need to do something about that. But you see from this map that we've got 2 research teams, which means we've made it into the 2nd star. So we'll line up another animal. And this is closer to the plan I had intended for starting. And I'm seeing that it's not a good time to be digging for the other animal I want to pair for that. So maybe we just won't research something right now if we can't find a good alternative. It doesn't hurt sometimes to pause the research to let the money accumulate. And, I think that may be what is going to happen this time. So let's, no, not ready to do that either. The third portion of the park is going to be our Paleozoic section, by necessity small at the moment, but not ready to put that in yet. We've got rain in the park right now, but because of our financial position, it's time to lay a little more groundwork for future expansions in the park. So I'm going to put in another storage facility, and this one will be for insects. They're one of the things I frequently do early on because a lot of the early game animals use insects. And as soon as you can get that production up, that seems to keep pace with how much of the resources used. So it can be eliminated from the stuff you've got to truck into the park. But I haven't done the research yet for the actual production facility. So that's going to have to be set up. But I can, without any cost, add color coding so I can tell at a glance what the storage facility uses or deals with, I should say. And this one, as I said before, is going to be for insects. So our staff can start transporting insects there now at the very least, and that frees them up to do other things when necessary. As you can see, we now got some quantity of almost everything. And I'm currently trying to bring compost into the park. That's another thing that would be needed for the insect production. Well, we'll talk more about that later. So checking the staff, I think it's time to add another laborer to be able to move things around the park. And here he comes out of having delivered stuff. And we'll get them moving that stuff around to where it needs to be kept. One of the other things I want to do in this build today is establish a new area preparatory to setting up the first staff zones. and I want to have buildings out where the new staff zone will be in order to support that zone. So right now we're looking at the park as we pretty much as we left it last time, and need to add the new path because we're going to be starting to move out into the Mesozoic portion of the park. So I grabbed the paving ring from the Cenozoic section, and now trying to get the path to behave to go around it. Eventually I'll be filling things into these rings, but I haven't spent the time on developing what I want in there. And part of that is it's that money situation because it's going to take some to build up our animals. So you saw the check on the Leaellynasaura, so that I have a good idea of what it will take to house and feed the animal. So setting up a small area here and checking its size, I can change most of the fencing to functional fencing and add in an amount of water and then start messing a little bit with the terrain to get a sense of what is going to be happening in this habitat for the animals. One of the reasons that this animal was a good choice is that it accepts coastal as a climate, which is the base climate for this map, and therefore it can have minimal care space facilities to help it get through the weather it doesn't like, and that's not a bad thing for a starter park. So the terrain painting is mostly in, and I wanted to not have it just be a pure flat habitat, so we give it a little mound of earth there and then start putting in some hardscape. The rocks here help establish the idea that there is a reason why there's a pond here, that it is not basically give it a reason for the water to accumulate here. Also, the rocks are getting adjusted to color-wise to match the painting of coastal rocks a little bit better. So more rocks to give a portion of this thing a sense of separation from the rest of the park. It also screens the enclosure from animals, not from animals, but for the guests coming around that portion of the path. So they actually have to get up to the habitat before they can actually see animals. These guys are pretty small anyway. They have a strong tendency to get lost in the foliage, which you will sort of get to see in action, I think, a little bit later. So I wanted to give a little bit of a rocky sense to that elevated area. And then the next step was to prepare to put in the small care building. As you can see from the piece I'm using, the rustic theme has been unlocked at this point. And that's something that I wanted to have in place for developing the Mesozoic area of the park. And also to keep the vague feel that this is as much a park as it is a zoo. So I want these animals to have space inside here with enough room for the flock to stay and rest, and probably also where they will nest. So you've seen this thing before where I lay down some groundwork for the staff and then put a fence for marking where they can interact with animals. And then I set up the invisible barriers around the boundary of that and then opened it up to the habitat. so that the animals will go in there and recognize it as habitat, and gave them some rich earth for the inside, again for animal comfort, as I've done before, and using this green shingled roof for the choice of cover for this. But because it's built for this habitat, it's not going to be as closed off as some of the other care areas, but a little different in that it has this wall segment, sort of changing where the roof of the animal space is relative to the space where the keepers have. And also setting it up now with shorter walls so it will have some windows. The idea is just keep this pretty simple, to look like it's kind of blending into the general area around here. The stonework is pretty close to the color of the coastal rocks. Always a bit of time putting in all the extra bits, like the seam cladding, where the slope changes, and putting the exercises on, and then coming back so the roof pieces actually overlap the building itself, so the drip lines are not right on the wall. Pretty easy to do in this game. And now some foliage manipulation and setting our animals up to breed, or to be bred, I should say, in the nursery, and get them to their minimum social group, which I believe is 2 males and 3 females, and a gate in so I can put their necessary feeding things in, and the staff can start to make sure those are supplied with what they need, so that it's all ready for when our animals are ready to come in. Right through the fence. That was a glitch at the time I built this. I'm hoping that by the time you see this video, that will have been fixed. I suspect it has. There they go, all scrambling around. I suspect the keeper set out before. No, he couldn't have set out. Well, we've already got a vet in here checking the crew out, and wouldn't you know it, one of the animals showed up as not being the healthiest. So perhaps not the worst medical injury. You can see the notice popping up over there while I'm putting in foliage. And I took a little while to notice it before doing something about it. I forget what the disease was, because there was some time in between doing this and editing for the video. But it was, I believe, a treatable disease that I didn't specifically have to research. So I decided I didn't like the look of the fencing that I've been using to be the generic fencing around parts of the park. I didn't like how it looked with the fence that's holding the animals in. So I decided to custom make it. I aborted that process in order to deal with the animals. So we put in a quarantine unit and a storage building that I want to set up for medicine. And then I decided, particularly because it was a treatable disease and not necessarily requiring quarantine, or at least that's how it read at the moment, was I was going to build a small quarantine enclosure to put animals like that in, so that they can be treated without affecting their exhibit mates, While I didn't do a good job on getting that fence in the first time, it was a little crooked. So I had to change that out again. And then do the usual things to prepare a habitat, get a gate in, get vegetation out of there, um, and then put in the necessary minimum food and drink. Um, the little water pan there now has a keeper's got to get to it near where the faucet is, so it screws up putting those pans against walls or against rocks to sort of hide the plumbing. Sigh. Um, so I moved the animal in there, called a vet to check on it. Then they tracked it and then took off somewhere. And yet the animal is in quarantine. I think maybe I moved it. I don't really remember, but it was very clear to me that the vets were having to learn how to do their jobs um, at this stage in the park, which is a thing. um, so I also added 2 more storage units because again the money was there at the time, but it's starting to get low. Uh, so you're getting to see the 2 storage units that went in and a look at the habitat in its more or less finished stage with our animals doing their best to disappear into the foliage. Sigh. So we're getting again to the end of an episode. If you like this one, drop a like. If you didn't like it, do make a comment about why you didn't like it, and drop questions or general comments. I love to see the fact that people are reacting to things. Um, so there's our park as she stands after this episode's work. Um, it's starting to fill in a bit more and beginning to look like a park rather than just a handful of exhibits. So one last little clip to show things are, and you can see the colors have changed in those 2 storage units. One is for plants and another is miscellaneous feed. Um, so that's where the Paleo Park stands. Hope to see you again in another video soon, or maybe not. All depends on the timing. Anyway, till next time, you all be kind to each other out there. Take care, and just looking forward to seeing you or to having you show up for another video to be more accurate. That's it for me. Bye now.